Well, welcome to another edition of Bottom Line Triangle. Great show today. So we're going to be talking about Research Triangle Park. We're going to be talking about restaurants and retail. And then we have a special guest in Bryan Jordan, who is the Chairman CEO of First Horizon Corporation. We will be right back after this message from Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, our sponsor of Bottom Line Triangle.
I am so
Why
frustrated.
can no one help me?
Waiting
This is
to
a nightmare.
work. I think it's
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No. But it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina. Making healthcare better for all. Starting with you.
Well, welcome back. So we'll start off this episode talking about Research Triangle Park. And we have the expert
I don't know about
with us, Kaylee Thompson, senior reporter at the Triangle Business Journal, and Becky Troyer, editor-in-chief of the TBJ. So Kaylee, I've been reading a lot about 3.0.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about RTP 3.0, because I sort of probably need to let people know what was RTP and RTP 2.0.
Yes. So a lot of people don't know what RTP 2.0 was because they named it Hub RTP. And then it was also kind of like Boxyard, Frontier RTP. So that was kind of the 2.0 phenomenon. And now they're moving into 3.0. And 3.0 is just really like taking Hub RTP and making it possible across all 7,000 acres. So, I mean, Scott Leviton has said he wants to make...
This is CEO.
Yes, CEO of Research Triangle Foundation has said he wants to see RTP become kind of like a 15-minute city. So that means allowing landowners to be able to add apartments or hotels, restaurants.
What about single-family homes?
Single-family homes. Wow. And just being able to kind of create, kind of like a downtown in RTP.
Vibe, sort of different vibe for the next generation of perhaps workers.
Yes.
That seems like a
So when RTP was conceived, it was this sprawling campus
campus-like
of buildings
Vale of Pines.
and lots of parking lots and trees. How do you convert that 7,000 acres of sprawling campus into a 15-minute city? And what are some of the challenges in doing that?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a massive, massive undertaking. And I think that's part of the reason why they say it's a 50-year vision, because there's so many things that need to be done, because no one's forced to do this. No company has to create this. But if you have a company on this end of the park sign on and decide to build maybe like 120 single family homes, and then someone on this end of the park decide to build a grocery store, that's so far apart.
right.
And like they are going to have to work really hard to figure out infrastructure like transportation. There's currently no like just in RTP bus system that's just circulating the park. That would be something that would help. That's hopefully coming along with Triangle Mobility Hub. And there's just so much that needs to be done.
I know.
So how do you get 385 companies? Is that the number of?
Yes.
Like, how do you
Yes.
make a change when there's so many different stakeholders and voices and employers?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I know that some of the companies, well, actually, all the companies seem to be excited, because
Yes.
I think the vote was like 97% that the Landowners and Tenants Association voted for this. So what you're going to see happen now is innovation, like companies coming together. And I think companies who are kind of near each other are going to start working together and saying, like, what could we build? What could we do with our parking lots we're not using? What could we do with the land we're not using to kind of help create this mixed use destination?
And I really think also the same 385 that voted 97 or 98%, they'll be last in line to write checks. They want other people to do it so they can use it, which makes it beneficial. I mean, they'll obviously, but it requires billions of dollars. The question is, who is going to take that risk in terms of, you need a capital partner, right? not necessarily, you need a real estate developer, you need a master plan communicator, you need all of that, but you need like a money guy it ain't going to be IBM, it's not going to be Lenovo, it's not going to be, they're going to support the project, but they're not going to write the big checks.
Yeah, they need
the question
a
is,
capital partner.
how do we, or is it the state government? It was the state government that formed.
Kick the whole thing off.
The whole thing off. So where do you hear anything? Or is that the process? They just signed the master plan agreement and now they're just sort of embarking in?
I think they're going to have to find, just like we see with regular developers in downtown or North Hills, they're going to have to find equity partners. They're going to have to, it can't just be, I don't think they're going to have the capital on their own.
Right.
I do know, I can't say, I did have a few companies tell me that they've already started putting out some requests for proposals or qualifications from developers, trying to figure out, what do we do with our land? Could we lease it to apartment
like
developer?
Apple's 200 acres or 240 acres?
Yeah, could they take part of their couple 100-acre campus and lease it to maybe like an apartment developer or a hotel organization and have them develop it? So that could be how this comes about.
So what's the biggest competition for what RTP envisions itself? I mean, it's starting with an unusual footprint compared to, say, North Hills.
Yep.
Which is much more dense and on a major thoroughfare.
But isn't North Hills or downtown would be competition?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. So many of like the life sciences and innovation hubs are becoming more mixed use, like Boston and San Francisco. Like they're they have all these things already. So we're trying to compete with them. And then also tech companies and life sciences companies are starting to choose places like downtown Raleigh,
Holly Springs,
North Hills, Holly Springs. And RTP is like losing out. They're not. So I think part of this is like, we need to figure out how to keep companies here, draw companies here, and also show companies like we have ways to recruit your talent, to bring in your employees.
Right. I know it just looks like at some point in that 50 years of full phase development, there's going to be an RTP 4.0 and 5.0 because you need to sort of develop the transportation grid in order to make it. I mean, to Becky's point about North Hills, density matters in this case. And I think RTP is trying to get there, make it more dense for people to come in, have sort of a vibe. And I think it's a good thing they're doing it because I don't think campus-like setting works anymore. Right. I mean,
the challenge, it's recruiting to talent and the companies that want to be in those sprawling sort of
you're not going to be driving
areas.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Right.
So I think having density, I think they sort of is going, and that's perhaps why the owners and tenants also said, like, we like this plan. It's good for them.
Yeah, because they feel, I mean, they did a survey of the companies in the park and said, like, what do you need RTP to become to recruit people to stay here? And a lot of them said, like, our buildings are outdated. There's not enough in the park. Like, we don't feel comfortable enforcing 5 days in office because it's too far to go out of the park for lunch even for employees. Yes. And a lot of those things are now what employees are pushing employees to not want to be in the office because it's I'm stuck in my chair all day.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you for giving us. You're going to obviously keep up with the story and from time to time come back and talk to us.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
I am so
Why can no one help me?
Waiting is work. Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No. But it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina. Making healthcare better for all. Starting with you.
Welcome back. Today we have Kate Tracy. She's a reporter that covers restaurants and retail for us, and a little bit of professional services as well too. But today we're going to be talking about restaurants. Clearly, one of our readers' favorite topics as to who's coming, who's going. But there was a big event a couple of days ago. You had the James Beard finalists, and who from the local area got nominated? Give us an update on what happened.
Yes, so the James Beard Foundation announced their semifinalists yesterday, and 3 Triangle area chefs / restaurants got recognized as semifinalists. So Peregrine, which is a new restaurant in Raleigh's Midtown at 1000 Social, they got recognized for Best New Restaurant, and that's a nationwide category. So they're up against restaurants from across the country.
Wow.
And then Stephen Green with Herons at the Olmsted and Chidi Kumar with Aja got semifinalist recognition for Best Chef in the Southeast.
I mean, this national thing, how many chefs do you know? What is
Yeah, it's around 30 restaurants total. And so last year, a new restaurant, Figulina, got recognized in that same category. And I caught up with that chef last week, and he was just telling me about, just the business impact from just that recognition last year. I mean, his sales during the summer, it was the summer that really impacted him because summer 2024 was super slow because it was their first year. Summer, people dip out of Raleigh. They don't want to be eating out. So summer 2024 was kind of slow for him. But after the James Beard recognition,
just took off.
So you don't even have to win. You just get
into
the semifinals, and it has an immediate impact.
It really does.
Like people like us who keep on writing about these things, right? I mean, the readers read it. No, they like it. No, it's not a bad thing. I mean, frankly, that's what something we're going to be talking about, which is Michelin. I mean, but this potential national recognition is a really big deal. Did Ashley Christensen win that category?
She's won James Beard awards in the past.
But we don't know.
She's definitely a James Beard award winner in the past. Scott Crawford's been recognized. Ben Barker from Magnolia Grill. Karen Barker from
same.
So we definitely have had
few
winners. Yes.
Yeah.
So what's the big deal with Michelin? And what does it take to get Michelin recognition? I know there's some money behind this.
Yes. So tourism organizations from across the state spent $345,000 to lure Michelin here as a part of the inaugural American South Guide. And so Discover Durham and Visit Raleigh each paid $45,000 per year. Visit North Carolina is paying $170,000 per year. And that just represents 1% of their $17 million marketing budget. So it sounds like a lot of money, but it's really, small.
I'm sorry, whose marketing budget?
Visit North Carolina's.
That's run by ADPNC, I believe.
Yes. So, so Michelin inspectors come and they're anonymous and they come and eat at these restaurants. And North Carolina, North Carolina did really, really, in terms of overall recognition, North Carolina had the most restaurants recognized. In the South, yes. So the ceremony was in November, and we only got 1 star, and that was for a restaurant in Charlotte called Counter. But in terms of other recognition, we did really, really well. 19 restaurants in the Triangle got recognized. And one of the kind of sneaky good, recognition is the Bib Gourmand Award, because that represents restaurants that have great quality dishes at really good value. So the 3 restaurants who got Bib Gourmands here were Prime Barbecue in Knightdale, shout out Knightdale, and Malapata in Raleigh, and Sam Jones Barbecue in Raleigh. So those all got Bib Gourmands.
3 barbecues.
Yes.
That's what they like. Where are these judges from? They come from all over the world. But this seems explain this to me. I mean, I know you sort of follow this. I don't follow it as closely. Feels like this is sort of a pay-to-play kind of deal going on here. I mean, would Michelin... How does this work? I mean, does it like you write the check to Michelin, like all these people did, right? 170,000 or whatever you said. And they said like, hey, can you come and just rate restaurants? We have nothing to do with it. Is that how that works? Or do they say like, here's a list of restaurants you need to rate and give them, you know?
Well, yeah, I believe, so Michelin announced their so they do regional guides. So they announced their American South guide last year.
Yeah.
And then, Michelin recognition is so impactful that so these tourism boards want to
No doubt.
spend the money to it's basically just marketing to pay for them to come to the area. And then in terms of which restaurants can get recognized, people can nominate restaurants for Michelin inspectors to go to. That's so any restaurant can get,
I've got a couple in mind that I would like to nominate. I wouldn't name names here, but I do.
So we didn't get a star, but you've written about the Michelin effect. So what happened after those recognitions that you've mentioned?
So I'll start with Malapata because I caught up with one of their co-owners, Marshall Davis, and it was pretty immediate. I mean, on the way back from the ceremony in Greenville, South Carolina, they're posting help wanted ads because they know the rush is going to just hit them. And so so he told me reservations immediately tripled. Their revenue went up 10 to 15% after Michelin. And I talked to him just last week because they're opening a new restaurant called Big Cat in the old Brookside Bodega space. And, they're still feeling the Michelin effect, even though this, it was from November.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's exciting is all these restaurant owners are growing. And Malapata is new. I mean, Malapata opened in April and they got Michelin a bib gourmand in November. So
very impressive.
It helped them be profitable in their first year. And all of these restaurants are continuing to expand. And
the lines outside Prime Barbecue?
Yes. I was there on a cold day last week. It was 35 degrees and people are standing out in line at Prime Barbecue.
In Ninedale.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
so, yes. And so Chris Prieto, I mean, normally the lines there, I mean, there's always a line, but normally it dies down. He told me like 4 p.m. And then, but after Michelin, he's like, we're turning people away. Here's the other thing I forgot to mention about Malapata. I mean, with that Bib Gourmand, I mean, they get people coming in saying we spend just as much money at a chain restaurant as we're spending here. But the level of quality is just like
amazing. I mean,
that's why that Bib Gourmand is just like the
Especially
sweet
what
spot.
we heard about the economy and consumers.
Yeah. Well, Kate, thank you very much.
Great coverage.
Great coverage. Keep up this. Well, maybe we're going to bring you every quarter to give us an update on restaurants and retail. We did not talk about retail. I would like to talk a little bit about retail next time as well.
Yep.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks.
We'll be right back with a special guest. Welcome back. We have a special guest with us today, Bryan Jordan, Chairman and CEO of First Horizon Corporation. Did I get it right?
Yeah, absolutely.
From Memphis, Tennessee. Welcome, Bryan, to the podcast. So I'm going to jump in right away with the banking sort of environment that you see. So give us a take as to First Horizon is what, $85, $90 billion? Is that right?
Ballpark. Yep.
Give us a sort of an outlook as to what you see in the banking landscape, specifically to the North Carolina market.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. First Horizon is a 100 and almost 62-year-old organization. We were founded in the midst of the Civil War. And in the last 25 years, we've expanded into North Carolina. I grew up in North Carolina. I was born and raised in Salisbury. So it's an important market for us for a lot of reasons. And emotionally, it's important to me to see us do well here. The growth dynamics of the state of North Carolina are tremendous. 3 huge centers of positive growth and influence with the Triangle, the Triad, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. But the entire state is doing very well, from Wilmington to Asheville. And it's a remarkable place to do business. And we have a presence generally covering the state today. It is an environment that we think will show very strong organic growth. We will build new branches. We will continue to hire bankers and really do everything we can to broaden our customer impact by providing value at the transaction level. We've done a lot in the last several years in building brand in the marketplace, and I think we're positioned for a tremendous amount of growth here in the state of North Carolina.
So I'm just kind of curious, and I think this comes up quite a bit, and I'm glad Lauren is our financial reporter is here as well. Do you think there's going to be, we have seen so much of bank consolidation over the past decade, if you may. Yeah. Do you think there's more coming? So, there was a lot of talk after the Great Recession about too big to fail and how we can stop big banks from getting bigger. Well, that sort of did not work. I think big banks are in fact bigger today than they were. And give me a landscape of the M&A. And does regional banks sort of seems like playing a critical role in that? Yes,
it's an interesting landscape in banking. In the U.S., we've gone from, say, 1985, 17,000 financial institutions, banks in the United States, to 4,500 today. So there's been a tremendous amount of consolidation. And in many ways, North Carolina has been sort of at the center of the universe when it comes to what Bank of America is today, what First Union, Wachovia, and now Wells Fargo has become. And banking consolidation has not likely ended, and I think it's probably going to accelerate over the next 2 to 3, 4 years. There are a number of drivers of that. Most importantly, it is you've got a tremendous amount of demand for technology investment in the industry, and part of it is very simply how do you keep up with ATM rollout and online mobile banking and call centers and all of that. But today you're dealing with crypto and digital currencies. You're dealing with a whole lot of different competitors. So technology is a big driver. Regulation is a big driver of consolidation. And ultimately, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, brand and creating a brand with a customer who is more mobile. Where we're in 12 states across the South, the customer is more mobile. So North Carolinians go into Florida over the course of the winter and being able to do business, whatever it happens to be. So I think you will continue to see consolidation. I think North Carolina will still be an important part of that market simply because the growth dynamics, the population dynamics, the economy in North Carolina is so strong. People are wanting to be in this state. You've seen people come here, build de novo branches all the way to doing acquisitions. And I think you're going to see continued consolidation, but most importantly in great markets like we have here in the South, and North Carolina being one. You have done a couple of those acquisitions in the past. Do you see First Horizon playing that role? Because there was some talk, right, that at some point there's going to be some sort of an M&A a few years ago. So tell me where we stand there now. Yeah, I think there is a role for First Horizon to play in consolidation. We have, over the course of the last 5 to 7 years, gone through a tremendous amount of growth through consolidation. We completed a merger of equals in the pandemic, and then over the last 4 or 5 years have been integrating that merger. I think in the near term, our focus is on organic growth, investing in the markets. We'll build 5 branches or so here in 2026 in the Triangle area.
And obviously there's a lot of competition in the Triangle. All of the things that you're saying, I'm hearing that from other bank CEOs. We're reporting on deals constantly, on CEOs mentioning North Carolina on their earnings calls.
Yep.
How do you stand out in a market like the Triangle?
Yes, I would argue that banking is extraordinarily competitive everywhere that we go, Lauren, and in particular, you're going to hear that about North Carolina because all the great dynamics that we touched on. I think you continue to stand out in the banking industry by delivering a differentiated product and service, and it's not that anything in our product set is not a commodity. A deposit account is a commodity, and you could get very few customers to tell you the difference between what our primary checking account offering is versus what Bank of America or any community bank is offering. What really matters is the way you deliver that service, and I believe it's firmly rooted in people and the way people interact with their customers, the way they build relationships. It's firmly rooted in the ability to access and bank with us in ways that are convenient for the customer, whether it's in a banking center or whether that's with your mobile phone and never getting out of your chair.
So as you're keeping your ear to the ground, what are you hearing from clients in the Triangle as they're planning for 2026?
I think I used a phrase last week in our call that got picked up a few places. I said people are generally biased for growth. I think people are by nature optimistic, and I think people feel good about the economy as we transition into 26 from 25. There seemed to be very good momentum in the economy. Uncertainty still factors into people's thinking, but I think people want to build plants, they want to make investments, they want to buy equipment, they want to do acquisitions. And I think you're still in a place where the economy is biased for growth. And I think if the economy accelerates like most expect it to in early 26 with the tax benefits of the One Big Beautiful Bill, some of the policy decisions that are fundamentally already in place, I think we're in a place where you could see 26 be a pretty good economic environment.
So what's the tailwind and what's the headwind here?
I think the tailwind is largely going to be the effect of the stimulus created by the One Big Beautiful Bill and the fact that tariff uncertainty has largely been resolved. Mm-hmm. And I think the headwind is likely to be that something goes bump in the night from a geopolitical perspective, whether it's a shooting war somewhere in the world or something unanticipated around tariffs. That's likely to be the headwind. Uncertainty causes people to say, I can make this decision in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. And so we've resolved a lot of the uncertainty. So I'm optimistic, but I think there is downside risk.
And you actually tell us the story, especially for our listeners and the viewers. You mentioned a very critical element as to how the lower priced consumer is probably one of the biggest headwind for the banking sector. Yeah. And you mentioned your restaurant. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's you've heard much about the K-shaped economy, and the U.S. economy is still largely a consumer-driven economy. If the consumer is doing well, the economy does well. And there's all sorts of data out there about who's driving spending in the economy, and it tends to be the more affluent or higher paid consumer set versus the lower consumer set. The statistic that I'm fascinated by and I pay a lot of attention to, we have a restaurant franchise finance business, and we serve restaurant franchises largely across the United States. And in the last several months, you've seen a shift in traffic in quick serve restaurants. So think fast food or convenience food, carry out in many cases, very good businesses. But over the last several months, traffic has been dropping in those restaurants. And
because of higher prices?
I think because of higher prices, but maybe it's easier explained by lower expendable income, you know, trying to make sure that you have enough money to make it to the end of the month. So the statistic that I cited earlier in December, traffic in quick serve restaurants that we serve was down about 3.5%. So foot traffic in was down about 3.5%. Same store sales was down about 1.5% in that range. And so you see both things going on in the economy. You see the consumer trying to stretch their dollar further. You see inflation in that cost of food and providing the service continues to go up. And it sort of highlights the fundamental risk to our economy, which is everything in the aggregate seems to be well, but there are some soft spots.
And you cannot sustain it long term.
That's
I mean, you can't have 3.5% down and 1% down.
That's right.
Over a long period of time.
right.
It'll be out of business. So, okay. So we only have a couple of minutes left. I wanted to know a little bit about Bryan Jordan. So you said you grew up in North Carolina, Catawba College, graduate. What got you into banking?
I actually grew up in a banking household. I grew up in Salisbury, North Carolina. My dad and my sister and her family are still there. My dad was a banker. He built a organization here and founded in Salisbury and spread Charlotte, Concord, and they merged and now part of Truist.
Like a community bank?
It was actually a savings and loan when I was a small child. So, but it was a community bank. It was about a $3 billion organization when the old CCB acquired it in 2000 area. And so I grew up in a banking household, and my dad was trying to teach me about derivatives and speculating and trading as high school and college student. My first jobs in a banking organization were not particularly glamorous. I was doing everything from cleaning up the bathrooms and picking up cigarette butts in the parking lot to shredding paper in the back office when it was a paper-intensive business. But I grew up in that environment. I started in public accounting. I'm a recovering CPA. I spent 7.5, almost 8 years in public accounting. And during that period of time, for whatever reason, it may have been, where I grew up, I ended up working a lot in financial services. And that meant at that time, I spent a lot of time working on the first union engagement when I was at KPMG, Pete Mark. It was Pete Mark Mitchell when I started. It's KPMG today. But I spent a lot of time in banking, and in 1991, after about 7.5, 8 years, I had the opportunity to join First Union, and that's what I did.
So from First Union, you went to Regions?
I went from First Union to Regions to now. I've been at First Horizon since 2007.
So it can go either way, though, when you grow up in a household of bankers, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever want to do anything else?
Well, I didn't know really what I wanted to do when I went to college. And
NASCAR driver, maybe? You grew up around it.
I grew up around NASCAR and racing. I grew up with the idea that I would go into business in some way, shape, or form. And when I was in high school and then early college, I found that where I did the best in my classes was accounting. And for some reason, I understood accounting. And I can't explain that today, but I ended up in public accounting. I never knew or expected that I would end up back in banking from there, but I'm awful grateful that I have. It's a great place to connect the dreams and aspirations that people have. And so fundamentally, we match up depositors' savings with people's demand for money to buy houses or cars or start businesses. And we're very blessed to sort of sit as the circulatory system for the economy and have an opportunity to help people realize their dreams.
So true. I mean, banking, well, you sort of go back. Economy doesn't run without banking. I mean, and frankly, economy doesn't run without banks making loans. I mean, that's why it becomes so critical for you to have the deposit base in order to have that commercial loan growth, which makes it. Well, we have run out of time. Thank you, Bryan, for joining us this afternoon. And I know Lauren is going to follow First Horizon quite intently, like she has done before. And we hope that we get to spend some more time with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd love to come back.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time, this is Bottom Line Triangle.